Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wishing you a delightful listening experience. Today, I'll be interpreting this book titled A Promised Land. This is the memoir released by former U.S. President Obama at the end of 2020. It has become customary for sitting U.S. presidents to publish memoirs, from Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and Nixon, to the Bushes and Clinton. Every U.S. president, after their tenure, writes a memoir. One reason is that these memoirs satisfy the public's curiosity about the president's life and consequently become bestsellers. Former presidents can also earn substantial royalties from these memoirs. However, more importantly, these memoirs represent the political legacy of the former presidents. Their statements about specific events in these memoirs are often cited as the official version of history. In summary, memoirs can indeed bring former presidents renewed fame and influence. Obama's memoir received astonishing attention. Within just 24 hours of its release, it sold nearly 900,000 copies in the United States and Canada alone. To put this in perspective, Clinton's memoir sold 400,000 copies on its first day, while George W. Bush's memoir sold 220,000 copies on its debut. A critic from the Washington Post even wrote that they felt a bit sorry for the unfortunate authors releasing their books in the same week, as all the attention was stolen by Obama's book. The world's largest online reading community, Goodreads, collected votes from 5.7 million readers to select the best books of 2020. A Promised Land was declared the best autobiography of the year, just a month after its release. One of the significant reasons for the book's immense popularity is the level of detail in Obama's autobiography. He began writing it when he and his wife Michelle boarded Air Force One for the last time at the end of his presidency. 4 years later, he published this 800-page volume, which covers only the first half of his presidency, from his announcement to run for president in 2007 to his announcement of seeking re-election in 2011. It is unknown when the second half, covering the next 4 years, will be published. In the following sections, I will break down the book into 3 parts for you. Part 1, we will explore the challenges Obama faced during his presidential campaign. Part 2, we will examine the challenges Obama encountered during the transition to the presidency. Part 3, we will delve into the methods Obama employed to handle the pressures of being the president. Let's start with the first question: what challenges did Barack Obama face during his presidential campaign? Today, when we look back at Obama's life, it might seem like his journey into politics was smooth and destined, as he became the embodiment of the American dream. Obama grew up in poverty, and his mother went through 2 divorces, leading him to move around frequently during his childhood. As he got a bit older, he became a rebellious teenager, skipping classes, dating, and even dabbling in some unconventional activities. Fortunately, Obama turned his life around and became a diligent and outstanding student. He pursued a degree in political science at Columbia University and later attended Harvard Law School, where he worked towards a law degree. During his time in school, he not only excelled academically but also became the first African American editor of the prestigious Harvard Law Review. After graduating, Obama joined a law firm in Chicago and also managed to win the heart of his future wife, Michelle. His journey from a rebellious youth to a successful young adult was indeed an inspirational story, laying the groundwork for his future in politics. However, Obama's initial foray into politics was somewhat serendipitous. In 1996, a federal congressman from Illinois was facing imminent removal due to a scandal, and Illinois State Senator Alice Palmer, seeking to fill the vacant seat, needed to find a suitable successor. Palmer had been an advocate for the rights of the local African American community, and she wanted a like-minded individual to take her place. After careful consideration, she chose Obama. With Palmer's support, the relatively unknown Obama received the approval of local voters and was elected as the state senator for Illinois. Although Obama had ambitions for a larger stage, he faced some financial challenges. His previous campaigns had left him in debt, and running for a federal position required significant funding. Michelle had practical concerns about the financial strain and uncertainty of such a campaign. They would be facing even more debt if he failed, and even if he succeeded, the financial struggles would continue. However, Obama remained optimistic. He believed that if he were to become a U.S. senator, he would be the only African American senator at the time, which would draw national attention. With this increased visibility, he could write a best-selling memoir to earn money and pay off their debts. Michelle, on the other hand, viewed this as unrealistic and compared it to believing in magic beans. She challenged Obama by essentially asking if he had a magical solution to manage their finances while juggling two households, one in Washington, D.C., and another in Chicago. Despite Michelle's skepticism, Obama was undeterred and said, "I'm a magic bean buyer." However, when Obama arrived in Washington, he realized that he held a low profile in the political arena. In the Senate, seniority and experience were highly valued, and as a newcomer, Obama ranked 99th out of 100 senators. His office was so small that his desk took up most of the space, leaving little room to move around. This reflected the low regard in which he was held within the Senate. To overcome these challenges, Obama sought guidance from seasoned individuals, most notably his newly appointed Chief of Staff, Peter Rouse, who had more than 30 years of congressional experience and was known as the 101st Senator. Rouse helped Obama recruit experienced advisors and formulate a strategy to win over voters by focusing on tangible achievements. During his time as a U.S. Senator, Obama undertook two noteworthy actions. First, he visited the front lines in Iraq to understand the conditions faced by deployed U.S. military personnel. He worked to improve the well-being of overseas troops and their families at home. Second, in 2005, he raised concerns about the unequal treatment of African Americans affected by Hurricane Katrina in the Gulf Coast disaster response. These actions further endeared him to the electorate. With increasing support, Obama became one of the most prominent figures in Washington, often asked to campaign on behalf of other politicians, including former Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton. Even television host Oprah Winfrey publicly expressed her hope that Obama would run for president. At this point, Peter Rouse encouraged Obama to consider pursuing the highest office in the land. On February 10, 2007, Barack Obama stood before the Illinois State Capitol in Springfield, the capital of Illinois, and formally announced his candidacy for the President of the United States. The location was carefully chosen by his team because it was where Abraham Lincoln had delivered a famous speech 150 years earlier before becoming a U.S. Senator and, ultimately, the President of the United States. Obama hoped that people would see him as Lincoln's heir. However, as he entered the competitive arena of presidential politics, Obama found himself facing strong opposition. Besides the challenges posed by the Republican Party, he had to gain recognition within the Democratic Party, where formidable opponents awaited him. Among them were Joseph Biden, a highly respected figure with over 20 years of experience in the Senate, John Edwards, who had been the Democratic vice presidential nominee 4 years earlier, and the prominent Hillary Clinton, the wife of former President Bill Clinton. Contrary to popular belief, running for president is physically demanding work. At the outset of his campaign, Obama needed to traverse one city after another to gain the support of every voter. He recounted a typical day's schedule in his book, which went something like this: arriving in a city late at night, often staying in budget hotels or motels for just a few hours of sleep, then waking up, dressing, grabbing a quick breakfast, and heading to the local city hall to meet voters. Along the way, he had to make fundraising calls. After meetings with voters at City Hall, he'd give interviews to local newspapers and television stations. More fundraising calls would follow, and in the evenings, he'd meet with voters in another location before embarking on a late-night journey to the next city. This routine involved 16-hour days, at least 6.5 days a week. During his presidential campaign, Obama achieved a remarkable feat. Unlike previous candidates who often relied on wealthy donors and large political contributions, Obama's campaign funding primarily came from ordinary citizens, with donations ranging from a few tens to $100. The speed at which he gathered donations was astonishing. Within just a month of launching his campaign, he had raised $32 million in campaign funds, and in the following month, that figure soared to $55 million, breaking historical records as the highest monthly fundraising total ever for a presidential candidate. Over 90% of these contributions were from small donors. In essence, the hard work of campaigning paid off, providing Obama with the financial resources and popularity needed to make a significant impact. With ample campaign funding and a growing following, Obama secured 38% of the vote at the Democratic primaries, making him the frontrunner among Democratic candidates. As other candidates gradually dropped out, the Democratic presidential race ultimately boiled down to a showdown between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. The prospect of either a first female president or the first African American president excited the American public. Obama crafted a unique campaign strategy. Recognizing that he was a newcomer compared to Hillary Clinton's political experience, he emphasized his status as an outsider, rejecting the conventional, bureaucratic political culture and advocating for change. This forward-looking and unconventional approach resonated with the American electorate. His campaign slogan, "Yes we can," became deeply ingrained in the public consciousness. In the end, he defeated Hillary Clinton to become the Democratic Party's presidential nominee, and later, he decisively won the election against the Republican nominee, John McCain, becoming the 44th President of the United States. Part 2. Let's take a look at the challenges Barack Obama faced during his transition to becoming president. In his own words, Obama mentioned in his book that during his presidential campaign, he had a sudden moment of extreme anxiety. He realized that his deepest fear was not losing the election but the very real possibility of becoming the President of the United States. At first glance, this might sound overly dramatic, but when you see the challenges he encountered upon assuming the presidency, you'll realize that this statement came from the heart. Even though he had been successfully elected, there were still numerous challenges ahead of him in the White House. His first task as president was to bridge the divides that had emerged during the campaign. In the pursuit of gaining more support, candidates often engage in criticizing and accusing their opponents, sometimes resorting to mudslinging and personal attacks. While the dust settles after the election and the victor is declared, the lingering animosity and resentment among candidates and their supporters can create divisions. These divisions not only exist within political parties but also between them. To illustrate the depth of these divisions, consider a small anecdote. It was said that when George W. Bush assumed the presidency, the departing staff of his predecessor, Bill Clinton, reportedly removed the W keys from the computer keyboards in the White House, as a jab at Bush, whose full name is George W. Bush. Obama recognized that if he didn't promptly address these rifts between parties and individuals, he wouldn't be able to effectively lead the country forward. So, where did he start in mending these divisions? He found a remarkable opportunity in forming his own administration. When selecting key members of his government, candidates usually prioritize loyal supporters and individuals from their own party for key positions. However, Obama sought to convey a different message. He emphasized that he was not looking at a person's party affiliation but their qualifications and suitability for the role. For instance, when it came to selecting his Secretary of Defense, he chose a Republican, Robert Gates, who was known for his hawkish stance on foreign policy, even though their views on the Iraq War were significantly different. Gates had extensive experience, having previously served as Secretary of Defense under President George W. Bush. So, when assembling his new government, Obama extended an invitation to Gates to continue serving as Secretary of Defense. Furthermore, Obama invited his former rival, Joe Biden, to join his administration as Vice President. It's worth noting that many presidential candidates only select their running mates as a means to win more votes, and once elected, the vice president often takes a backseat role. However, in Obama's presidency, Biden became a crucial political advisor and partner, and their relationship evolved into a genuine bond. Later, when Biden ran for president himself, Obama wholeheartedly supported his dear friend. Another decision that raised eyebrows was the appointment of Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. Obama's reasoning was simple. During the campaign, he had witnessed Hillary's capabilities and believed that her charisma and extensive network as a politician would be assets on the international stage. He thought that having such a prominent and well-connected figure representing the United States abroad would enhance the country's reputation. Therefore, he considered Hillary Clinton the ideal choice for Secretary of State. Obama's approach of appointing the most qualified individuals, regardless of their party affiliation, had a profound impact and influenced others. As a result, the focus shifted from the wounds inflicted during the campaign to how they could work together to lead the country forward. He successfully executed this transition. During Barack Obama's presidential campaign, he encountered a second challenge: balancing his work and family life. This matter proved to be even more challenging than bridging the divide between the two political parties. Shortly after assuming the presidency, Obama invited a friend to serve as his chief of staff, essentially his top aide. His friend's response was, "I'm honored that you asked me, but I'm content with my current situation. My wife and children are happy, and I'm all too aware that trying to balance family life while working in the White House is just wishful thinking. So, I must decline your offer." While friends could decline such an invitation, Obama couldn't simply walk away from his responsibilities. He knew that attempting to balance family life in the White House was indeed challenging, but he also recognized the importance of making the effort. Barack and Michelle Obama had 2 daughters, with their older daughter, Malia, being just 10 years old at the time of his presidential election, and their younger daughter, Sasha, a mere 7 years old. This was a crucial period when their daughters needed their parents' presence. As a result, Obama endeavored to find more time to be with his daughters, particularly during his spare moments at work. Given that the presidential residence is located adjacent to the Oval Office, Obama often worked from home. He would only visit the Oval Office when dealing with particularly important matters, unless he was traveling. Otherwise, he made it a point to have dinner with his family every evening. During these dinners, he engaged in conversations with his daughters about how their day had been and what he was working on, helping them understand the significance of his job. Additionally, Obama tried to maintain open lines of communication with his daughters, ensuring they knew the purpose and importance of his work. When traveling abroad, he sometimes took his daughters with him. He also invited some of his longtime friends to work at the White House, such as bringing in the chef from his campaign team to serve as the White House's head chef, hiring his personal trainer to continue guiding both him and his daughters in their fitness routines, and even inviting his mother-in-law to stay at the White House to provide support to Michelle. In summary, Obama sought to create a familiar environment for his wife and daughters in the unfamiliar surroundings of Washington, D.C., to help alleviate the stress that comes with moving to a new city. Part 3. Let's take a look at how Barack Obama, during his time as president, managed stress and pressure. The book highlights a particular incident where Obama was receiving a briefing on the current state of the American economy. After hearing the briefing, one of his aides, visibly alarmed, blurted out that it was the worst economic report since Vice President Roosevelt's election in 1932. In response, Obama calmly said, "This isn't even the worst economic briefing I've had this week." Life in the White House was evidently no walk in the park. As president, Obama faced immense pressure. He revealed in his book that he had been a smoker since his rebellious teenage years. During his tenure in the White House, the stress led him to smoke half a pack of cigarettes a day. However, he eventually made the decision to quit smoking, with the encouragement and supervision of his daughters. Fortunately, Obama found healthier ways to relieve stress. One of these was playing basketball. A Washington political reporter once wrote a feature article about playing basketball with the president, expressing surprise at how intense the games were. When the reporter met Obama on the court, the president's first words were, "I forgot my mouthguard." Wearing a mouthguard is standard practice for professional athletes to protect themselves during intense games. It's worth noting that Obama had previously lost a tooth while playing basketball, and at this point, he was in his 50s. The reporter further noted that the basketball games organized by Obama were incredibly competitive. Most of the players were in their 20s, standing over 6 feet tall, and almost all of them had professional basketball experience. Aside from Obama, the only player on the court over 40 was the Secretary of Education. However, even the Secretary of Education had been the captain of the Harvard University basketball team in his college days and had played professionally in Australia. When the games got underway, the reporter observed that the professional players didn't go easy on the president at all. They believed that this was how Obama liked it, as he appreciated the competitive spirit. If anyone took it easy on him, they might not be invited back to play in the future. During one particularly intense game, a player who weighed 200 pounds more than Obama swatted away the president's attempted layup. After the game, the reporter asked the players why they didn't hold back. They responded that this was what Obama preferred. He wanted a challenging game. While Obama never shone as the best player on the court, he played with great intensity. The reporter noted that he was good at finding opportunities for offense, had excellent passing skills, and even displayed some slick moves. However, his shooting accuracy was only average, although he didn't take many shots, and when he did, he was careful. Playing basketball allowed Obama to relax and shift his focus away from his personal achievements, which he was accustomed to monitoring closely. Instead, he transformed into a coach, aiming to help his team win. Apart from basketball, listening to music and watching movies were also ways Obama relaxed. He even shared his annual playlists and movie recommendations on social media. To coincide with the release of this memoir, Obama shared a music playlist featuring songs that had accompanied him during his time as president. The playlist included jazz, rock, and even hip-hop. In times of great difficulty, Obama sought inspiration from his spiritual idol, President Lincoln. The Oval Office, where he worked, is located next to Lincoln's bedroom, which houses the full text of Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, containing 272 words, complete with Lincoln's handwritten signature. In this historic speech, Lincoln mourned the soldiers who had sacrificed their lives during the American Civil War, calling for national unity to build a freer nation where heroes' sacrifices would not be in vain. This speech has been one of the most quoted in American history. Obama himself acknowledged that this speech had provided him with considerable inspiration for making difficult decisions during his presidency. Many times, when facing tough choices, it was Lincoln's resolve that helped him make the final decision. Here we are, and I've just finished interpreting the essence of A Promised Land for you. After reading this book, I'd like to share a personal reflection. In the past, when we discussed politics and politicians, we often assumed that they had received professional political training and possessed extensive political experience. It was as if politicians were naturally born for politics, custom-made machines. However, after reading Obama's memoir, you'll discover that every politician has another side. They are also individual people with their own life journeys, joys, sorrows, fears, hesitations, and doubts. Only when we strip away the notion of politicians as mere calculating machines and see them as real individuals, with their unique challenges and moments of happiness, can we truly understand both the politician and the politics they engage in. That concludes the essence of this book. Congratulations on completing another book. I want to express my gratitude for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Let's combine wisdom and practice, work towards our financial goals, and create a better future together. Thank you all, and goodbye.